Mr. Zients, isn't it true that that the current law, which included the Budget Control Act, the legislation that passed as part of raising the debt limit, that your budget spends more money than than Congress proposed to spend through the Budget Control Act process over the next 10 years?
As I showed earlier, we have $5 trillion deficit reduction.
Do you propose to spend more money over the next 10 years than the Budget Control Act current law would cause us to spend?
I think what we have is a much more honest baseline, a baseline that has SGR, AMT, not patched year over year, but extended through the period.
You don't pay for the SGR, the doc fix. That's not paid for. But let's go back to the simple question I ask you. Does your plan spend more money over the next 10 years than the agreement in current law that we reached just last August?
The baseline here
yes or no?
Is where we're doing, I think what you got to focus on here is the bottom line, and we're taking deficits down to 2.8% of GDP.
But you're not answering my question. I ask a simple question. You're the director of the OMB. Does your budget call for spending more money?
That our budget is a more honest budget that looks at what's happening in a business-as-usual basis.
Chairman,
each year we're passing the AMT.
Will the witness not answer this simple question? I just ask a simple question.
It's a more accurate reflection of what we're going to spend.
Will it spend more or less?
It'll actually spend less money because of the deficit reduction that we have and a baseline that reflects the current policy.
Because of deficit reduction that can only be assumed that's caused by increased taxes. But let's go back to that question. When you propose, your budget proposes eliminating the sequester, the $1.2 trillion in spending cuts we all agreed to last year, difficult as it was. That's a $1.2 trillion increase in spending, is it not?
No, it isn't. I think that's a
why is it not? We agreed to, current law is to reduce the projected spending rate by $1.2 trillion. You eliminate that. That means you intend to spend that, do you not?
I think this is a very important point. The President is not proposing that the sequester go away. The sequester is a very important forcing function for us to do deficit reduction. So the sequester will be replaced with a balanced approach to deficit reduction.
The sequester
itself is bad policy. The sequester is bad policy on the defense side, $500 billion of required.
Mr. Zients, we've looked at the numbers, and your budget increases spending by $1.5 trillion more than the budget agreement last year, and it's in a lot of different places. You do make cuts in some places out there, but your net is to increase spending more than the current law, and that is not the path we need to be on. And the increase in taxes you propose, almost $2 trillion, is used to pay for that spending.
So I want to be crystal clear here. We are complying by the BCA. There will be $2 trillion of deficit reduction from the BCA. You've brought up taxes a few times. We absolutely believe in a balanced approach.
Well, let me ask you this. If you are incorrect in saying that you do not increase spending more than current law, would you consider resigning your office?
Let me go back to the balanced approach.
If we look at the numbers, are you that confident in your
I'm confident that with our baseline, which accurately reflects current policy and business as usual, that we have deficit reduction of more than $4 trillion, and we do it in a balanced way. For every $2.50 of spending cuts, there's $1 of revenue. That's a good balanced approach.
Mr. Zients, there is no spending cuts in this budget. This budget increases spending. Surely you know that. It increases taxes. So to say you cut $2.50 in spending for every dollar in tax increase is beyond the pale.
Well, we have $360 billion of cuts from health care. We have $270 billion of cuts from other mandatory programs. We have savings from OCO that CBO scores. In total, it's $2.50 of spending cuts for every dollar of revenue. That's a balanced approach, and that's the approach that we should have.
Mr. Chairman, this budget taxes more and it spends more. It does not alter the debt course of America, and I am disappointed that we can't get an honest response to these difficult questions at this important time in our history.